Considering that my video about cultural differences between the Russians and the Westerners, at least the way I perceive it from my personal experience, got higher attention than usual, I decided to dive a little bit deeper into some of the topics that I was talking about, especially because, to my surprise, some topics got special interest from the audience, particularly about Russian men never crying and about Russians not really being into smiley faces. So I will comment on this by answering some comments, and let's not waste our time and get straight to it. If you saw my previous video, you know that I commented among the differences that kind of surprised or shocked me when I moved to Spain, that here men are somehow allowed to cry, and that is not something crazy to see among family especially, or even friends, a male to get emotional about when he's talking about something sensitive, or even when he's watching a movie, a heartfelt movie or something like this. It's not crazy thing. And in Russia, it's absolutely I would be shocked if I would see my male friend in Russia crying over a movie scene. And I told that in Russia men are taught to be brutal, hard, strong, and being sentimental and show tears is seen as a weakness and is really judged. And I got the comment from, surprisingly, a Russian person, because the comment is in Russian, but I will read an English translation to you and will comment on some things. So, this person is saying, regarding tears, that's not true. In Russia, no one will judge a man if he cries. On the contrary, they'll feel sorry for him. I don't know, maybe we live in different Russias. And I can absolutely admit that it's possible that this person lived in an environment where it was socially totally accepted for a man to show his tears and be sentimental, and no one would judge him and everyone would be like understanding. But I have never lived in Russia like that. So it's just my personal experience. I don't doubt the experience of the person. I can only tell from my point of view. And I have lived in different places in Russia because my father is an ex-military officer, and because of his job we had to move around the whole Russia. I lived in different places and cities, and never ever I saw that to cry for a boy or a guy or a man is kind of socially accepted. As I told in my other video, is just absolutely accepted in a couple of cases if your parents are dying, or someone else, someone close to you, or if like you have your newborn baby and that's it. Of course, it's an exaggeration, there's always exception, I understand, but in general, I saw so many times young moms scolding their boys if they have a son and saying like, why are you crying like a girl? It's super normal. So I'm surprised to see that this person had different experience, but well, why not? Definitely there are exceptions, but from my point of view it's really not a norm. It's so annoying, and I'm so unlucky when people start drilling and fixing things exactly when I'm recording my video, but oh well. I hope the noises won't bother you very much, so let's move on. So this person is commenting, there is no need to make Russians out to be Spartans. Zhirinovsky cried on camera, and no one judged him for it. Well, Zhirinovsky, for lots of you who don't know, which is probably the majority of the audience, he was a very famous, eccentric Russian politician. Kind of like, well, I wanted to say Elon Musk, but not exactly. Well, a person who is saying wild shit, right? So he was in Duma, and he liked to make kind of loud or very crazy sometimes statements. I never saw him crying on camera, but I absolutely believe it was like this, if the person is saying. And I think it's... my guess is that he was not really crying because he felt like at that moment. Again. So yeah, sorry for this drill sound. I have no control over it. So I think Zhirinovsky cried most likely due to the PR reasons, because his PR team created this script for him to cry on camera because of whatever reason he did, because it would pump up the points for him. And of course, I have no evidence for this. Maybe he really just felt at the moment like crying, and he did, and it was all very natural and sincere. But at the same time, what is allowed to Zhirinovsky is not allowed to average Russian men. And I still insist that it's not seen as something good. It's more seen as a shameful to show your emotional side for men, specifically in Russia. For example, my parents, I consider them quite progressive and not zombified by the cultural standards, though of course it's shaping you in some way, you want it or not. And still, I never saw my father crying, never. Which I asked recently my husband if he saw his father crying, and he told like, yeah, of course, of course. So being within a family is a kind of a natural thing to see a male members crying. But in Russia, again, from my experience, it's different. Maybe in some artistic circles, it's more accepted. In, I don't know, if you are a worker of ballet or you are a painter, an artist, I don't know. And it's more human in this aspect there, and maybe this person was from these circles, or just, I don't know, he had this, or they, I don't know, it's a female or male, probably male, the experience this person has is very, very different from what I had. And if there are more Russians watching me right now, just share your view on that. Did you perceive it more like me, or more like this person, and you see it's absolutely normal and accepted, and people are feeling sorry for the guys who are crying? And then they keep on saying, that said, it's true that men in Russia are generally less emotional than Spaniards. That's why they cry less often. I must say I absolutely, totally, 100% disagree with that statement. From my point of view, men in Russia are not less emotional. Because also, well, I studied psychology for a lot of years, and I know we have several types of temperaments, and the way we process emotions depends on the temperaments, which is a biological thing, and depends on the amygdala. Oh my god, please don't start drilling again. So it depends on amygdala and other mostly biological things. So I do believe men in Russia are not less emotional. I think they process emotions the same way as other humans. It's just the difference is how they express their emotions. And this part is really very much controllable by our minds. If you cannot really, or you have very low level of control of your physiology, but you have a big control over how you can express these emotions. I mean, so it's not like they can choose not to feel the emotions, but they can choose not to express them or show them. And up to some point, you can even suppress them, but it's harder. So they have all of these feelings. They feel the big emotional pain the same way as European guys do. I'm sure they feel sometimes very sentimental if they watch something that's touching their heart. But they have, from very, very young little boys, they have this control chip and this statement in their brains which is saying, don't cry. If you are crying, you are a girl. You seem as a weak, and being weak is shitty and horrible for a man. It's making you less of a man, which is kind of a biggest insult you can hear in Russia if you are male. So I really think it's just the matter of them suppressing the release of these emotions. But inside, the amount of hormones associated to the emotions, especially the negative ones, cortisol and things like that, it's going on, so they process them internally. And I think it's in part explains why we have in Russia such a big difference. I think it's the biggest in Europe between the life expectancy for women and life expectancy for men. Men live way less on average than women, and it was even before the war started, so now it partially could be explained by the young guys dying on the war, but before it was not the case. And I think it's partially explained by them suppressing emotions, not being allowed to express it, to be just humans, which can cause kind of chronic stress, and chronic stress is proven to affect negatively your health and shorten your life expectancy. So that's my take on it. Now let's talk a little bit about smiles. In my other video, I explained that in Russia it's really not that common to see people smiling at you unless they really know you. And it was a nice surprise for me when I moved to Europe that here people used to smile at you and give you very friendly faces like all the time, even if it's interactions with someone you don't know at all. And I want to comment on a few messages that I got. So, the first one. I'm not a Russian, but as I understand it, smiles are reserved for genuine circumstances and for genuine friends and family members. That is, I would say, true. I also don't want you to have an impression that Russians never smile or that they are absolutely not friendly people. Indeed, I would say it's the opposite. I think in general, Russians are quite friendly and hospitable. If they have a guest, they will do anything for a guest to feel comfortable and feel welcomed. Of course, it can depend from family to family, but I would say they are very good in hospitality, and in this case they will smile and be kind to you. Also, it's absolutely normal, of course, to smile and laugh and be super friendly with people you know and with your friends. But otherwise, I would say it's true that show warmness, show friendliness, smile big to people that are not in your inner circle. It's not that common. Moreover, it seems kind of weird. Oh my god, you know what, guys? I just realized that I have a drill and the hammer noises, and these are from two different apartments because at some point I had both of them at the same time. What a damn fucking luck I got today that I have both people hammering and drilling things around me. It's just not that even common to happen. Well, just needed to rent it out. Okay, and then Zahrans is saying that it's not just a Russian thing. Northern Europe and a good portion of Eastern Europe also follow similar habits. Well, Eastern Europe for sure, because we are sharing the mentality in quite a big part, I would say. Ukraine and Belarus for sure, and other countries like Poland, what else, Bulgaria, and some others, they are closer to mentality to Russians, that's why. About the Northern Europe, well, I could agree probably partially. I have not been in all the Northern Europe, but I have been many times to Finland when I was living in St. Petersburg, and I think while it's true maybe they are more reserved than Central or Southern Europe, for sure, I mean, it's like that. But still, I would say they have no problem to show friendliness more explicitly to people they don't know than Russians. It's because I interacted with a lot of Finnish people that I didn't really know close in my short visits, and I felt more how to say this, more openness on a personal level, in the sense that just their faces were more friendly, which is again I think partially could be attributed to the fact that in Russia life probably more difficult for most people than in Finland. At least at that moment that I visited Finland, that was like several years ago. Right now, I don't know. I think life is getting harder for all of us in Europe, in USA, like throughout the world. Another comment. I have heard that Russians are suspicious of smiles because they think they are being made fun of, or possibly being conspired against. So a serious face shows respect. I think it's partially true. I guess on average a Russian person, and in general Russians, they think of themselves too serious, like more serious than European person, definitely more than Spanish people. Spaniards are not don't tend to take themselves too seriously, and Russians a bit more. So I think it's more fierce for Russian to lose face publicly than for Western person. So it could be partially legit argument. Being conspired against, well, I guess not exactly. I mean, if someone smiles at you, they're more likely to think that this person is just laughing at you than that this person is conspiring something against you, I think. But that serious face shows respect. That is also, I think it's quite true, or at least partially true. It has a point. And another person, it's Tristan, says, except that when you get that smile, they mean from Russian, you know it means something. Not just a case of, would you like fries with that? This person has a point. It's true that if Russian is smiling to you, that it really means something. It's not just an act of politeness, mostly. But I also think that, first of all, I want to clarify that I don't have anything against smiles that are just out of being polite. I think it's generally it's a good thing. It creates more positive and nice atmosphere, unless it's absolutely totally fake. That, for example, you see a person that you are dealing with is really not in a good mood, not in a good place, and is just trying to smile to you because that's what they're supposed to do, and it looks so plastic, so fake. Yeah, that is horrible. I really don't like that. But the smiles that are just like, I don't know, when you interact with someone, like asking them a direction on the street, and the person looking at you and just like showing their friendly face and smile to you. I think it's totally normal and doesn't need to mean something super deep, to me at least. I think it's totally legit if some people prefer to see smiles only for special occasions that should really mean something. But for me, just random smiles without any serious reason is also very nice, very good. It's I think it's also about by default being friendly, open, and somehow having positive attitude toward the world, which I feel that here in the West it's a little bit better in this aspect than in Russia on average. And at least to me, like, I feel more comfortable in this kind of environment. So that's about it. Please have an amazing day or night or whatever, and I'll see you in the next video.